So, what makes you, you? Is it your past, your memories, maybe the things you collect? Well, we're about to dive into the work of an artist who uses everything from historical artifacts to pure digital chaos to try and find an answer. This is the art of Jack Sow, and it's all about the search for self.
Okay, let's start with an image that is, immediately unsettling. You're looking at Francisco Goya's horrifying Saturn devouring his son, but it's stuck in this cheap, bright blue frame that says Amazing Dad. The clashes, it's funny, it's dark, and it's definitely confusing. But this isn't just some dark punchline. It's a puzzle. It's setting the stage for an artist who absolutely loves to mess with our expectations.
And right here, this is the key, the artist Chikyo So, who goes by Jack Sow, tells us his mission directly. That Amazing Dad frame, that wasn't just a weird joke. It's part of a really personal artistic journey. For him, art is basically an investigative tool, a way to figure out who he truly is.
So, if his whole mission is this search for his true self, then who is the man behind the art? Let's take a closer look.
Jack Sow is what we call a conceptual artist. Now, what does that mean? It means the idea is the real art. The physical thing you see is just the starting point. His pieces aren't just things to look at, they're questions he's asking all of us and himself about identity, about history, and about where we fit in the world.
One of his go-to tools in this search is history itself. So, how does he take this huge, heavy thing we call the past and use it to understand the individual self today? Let's see how he does it.
Okay, so this piece is called 1997, The Treaty of Irrelevance. At first glance, it just looks like a simple collection of framed historical documents, but the materials, that's where it gets interesting. These aren't copies. They are the actual collected autographs of people tied to the Treaty of Nanking, like Queen Victoria and Sir Henry Pottinger. He's literally weaponizing the signatures of history and calling it art.
And what turns this from a cool historical collection into a powerful personal statement is this little plaque. He says he was a collector, but he doesn't want it anymore. See, this isn't just about history class. It's about his own personal relationship to that history. By gathering these artifacts only to give them away, he's asking, what does it mean to own your past? And what does it take to let it go?
And this contrast just shows his incredible range. On one side, you have the tangible physical history of the Treaty of Irrelevance, and on the other, his award-winning piece Hong Konger, which is this jarring, chaotic digital sculpture set inside a subway car. He's exploring the exact same theme, Hong Kong identity, but through two completely different languages. One speaks in dusty archives, and the other screams in a dizzying digital present. You know, this focus on collective identity really runs deep through his work. You can see it in the titles of other pieces like Hong Kong Has Never Been a British Colony, which is made from governors' autographs, or the provocative Serve the People. It's obvious this is a consistent, deep-seated investigation for him.
But his search for self isn't always about these grand historical narratives. He also zooms way in, exploring identity through the philosophy of a single, fleeting moment.
This piece is called The Expiry Date of an Expiry Date. And on the surface, it's just a simple bronze plate on a theater seat. But like with all of his work, the story behind the object is the real art here.
So here's the story. The Leeds Grand Theatre had a fundraiser where if you donated, you'd get your name on a seat. Jack Sow donated, but then he found out there was a catch. The plaque was temporary. It would be removed in 5 years. So, faced with his own impermanence, what did he do? He chose to engrave the only thing that felt permanent, the plate's very own expiration date. It's such a fascinating move, and it leaves us with this really big question. This small bronze plate exists for one reason and one reason only, to announce its own future destruction. It's a pretty profound statement on legacy and value, right? What is something worth if its only purpose is to mark its own end?
Now, this unique, really thought-provoking way of making art, it hasn't gone unnoticed. We've seen the why behind this work. Now let's talk about the where. Turns out, Jack Sow's personal search for self is really starting to resonate with audiences all over the globe.
Remember Hong Konger, that chaotic digital piece we saw just a minute ago? Well, in 2023, it won first place at the prestigious Hong Kong Liberty Art Prize. That's a huge deal. It's significant validation, and it proves that his very personal questions about identity are having a really powerful public impact.
And that prize was just the beginning. This timeline shows just how quickly things have taken off.
He's had international exhibitions in Taipei and the UK and has upcoming shows in major art hubs like Venice, Edinburgh, and the USA. His voice is clearly finding its place on the world stage. And to top it all off, his video piece Nursing Home, which was inspired by visits to his father-in-law, was selected for the historic Royal Scottish Academy annual exhibition. I mean, for an artist who's always questioning history, being accepted into an institution like this, that's a massive achievement. It signals some serious recognition.
So let's bring this all back home. From dusty old autographs to a temporary plaque on a theater seat, there's a really clear unifying thread here. Everything he does circles back to that central quest. What makes a self?
What's so compelling to me is just the sheer diversity of his toolkit. He moves so seamlessly between the physical and the digital. On one hand, you've got these found objects with real historical weight, autographs, theater seats. On the other, he's creating entire worlds from scratch using 3D renders, animation, and even AI. For him, every material is just another lens he can use to focus his singular, ongoing investigation into the self.
And so, we're going to end by turning Jaxo's central question back on you. After seeing how one artist uses literally everything from the past and the present to try and define himself, it kind of makes you wonder, if you had to choose just one single object, or image, or maybe a digital file to represent yourself, what would it be? And maybe more importantly, why?